Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a real titan of decentralized finance, InstaDapp. We're going to look at its whole journey, how it started as this super complex tool for pros and then turned into this streamlined platform that's now managing billions of dollars. It's a fascinating story.
So let's just jump right in with this question, right? Is DeFi too complex for the average user? This really hits on the biggest hurdle for crypto, doesn't it? I mean, on one hand, you hear all these amazing promises about high yields and financial freedom, but on the other, trying to get involved feels like you need an advanced degree in blockchain just to avoid, getting completely wrecked.
And that's the perfect way to put it. It really is like being thrown into a starship cockpit with a zillion buttons and flashing lights. The potential is out of this world. You could go anywhere. But for most people, one look at all those controls and they're just completely overwhelmed. And look, this isn't just about it being scary. This complexity is a massive wall, and it introduces some serious risk for anyone who isn't already a total pro.
So yeah, this brings us to the main event, the DeFi management problem. This is what we're really digging into. Trying to juggle all your stuff, your assets, figuring out the best yields, jumping between all these different platforms for lending, borrowing, staking, it's just a nightmare. It's tough, it takes forever, and frankly, it can get really expensive with all the fees.
Okay, now get a load of this number. $5.1 billion. That is a staggering amount of money. And that's how much value users have poured into just one platform, InstaDapp. And the reason they've gotten so huge, they promised to fix that exact problem we were just talking about. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull it off?
All right, let's pull back the curtain on InstaDapp. What is it really, and how did it become this absolute powerhouse? Its story is kind of like the story of DeFi itself, which is pretty cool. Okay, so at its heart, InstaDapp is basically the ultimate universal remote for all your DeFi stuff. Instead of having 10 different apps and websites open, trying to remember where everything is, it gives you one dashboard, one command center to manage all your investments across the biggest players in the game, like Compound, Maker, and Aave.
And these guys are OGs in the space. They've been around a while and really blew up during that wild DeFi summer back in 2020. Originally, it was built for the power users, the real pros. It gave them these incredibly sophisticated tools to do really complex things. Like, they're famous for their flash loan recipes. A flash loan is, well, it's like a loan you take out and pay back in the same transaction. It's nuts. And they use them to power these recipes that let you do things like swap out your collateral or move your entire loan from one platform to another with just a couple of clicks. Super powerful stuff.
But that begs a pretty big question, right? If your whole thing is built for experts, how do you get, everyone else? How do you grow? And this is where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because InstaDapp's answer was basically to build something completely new and way, way simpler.
And that solution is called InstaDapp Lite. It's a totally different beast. They designed it from scratch with one single goal in mind: make earning yield in DeFi dead simple.
Okay, so remember that crazy starship cockpit we were talking about? The one with all the confusing buttons? That's InstaDapp Core, for the power users. InstaDapp Lite, on the other hand, is the big, shiny autopilot button. It takes all that insane complexity happening under the hood and just hides it. It gives regular folks like you and me access to those same powerful strategies, but without needing a manual that's 1,000 pages long.
To see just how powerful this simplification really is, let's look at a real-world example. We're going to break down their most popular strategy, which is all about earning a better return on your ETH.
So check this out. Right now, we're looking at a potential return of around 8.5%. And that's paid out in ETH, on your ETH. For a passive strategy on a top-tier asset like Ethereum, that's a pretty compelling number. And the secret sauce here? It's all done with a very clever use of leverage.
So how in the world does that work? Well, it's basically a smart little loop that keeps repeating. Here's the rundown. First, you put it staked ETH, that's Steth ETH from Lido. It's already earning you some basic staking rewards. Then, InstaDapp takes that and uses it as collateral on Aave to borrow regular ETH. Then it immediately swaps that ETH for more staked ETH and deposits that back in. It just keeps doing that. Deposit, borrow, swap, repeat, until it's leveraged your position up to 3 times. The end result? You're multiplying the staking rewards you earn on your original deposit. Pretty slick, right?
And this is the magic of InstaDapp Lite, a super powerful, leveraged, multi-step strategy that honestly would be a huge pain to do by yourself is boiled down to 3 simple steps. You go to the app, you connect your wallet, you click Start Earning, and you deposit your funds. Boom, done. That's the whole thing.
Okay, but hold on. With any financial tool, especially in the world of DeFi, which can still feel like the Wild West, we have to look past the shiny numbers. You've got to understand the whole picture. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The strengths, the opportunities, and yep, the threats.
First up, InstaDapp's strengths are pretty solid. For one, their tech is innovative and battle-tested. They've been pioneers. Second, their reputation. In a world where projects vanish in a puff of smoke, InstaDapp is an established, trusted name with billions of dollars under its belt. That says a lot. And finally, they're not just stuck on Ethereum, they're on multiple chains, which means they're set up to grow with the whole ecosystem.
Now, looking forward, the opportunities are massive. The demand for simple, high-yield strategies on ETH, it's huge, and it's not going anywhere. Plus, you've got cool new upgrades coming to the underlying protocols. Take Aave's new emote, for example. It's designed to let you borrow way more against similar assets, which could make strategies like the one we just saw even more efficient and potentially even more profitable.
But, and this is the big but, we have to talk about risk, because this quote right here says it all. In DeFi, higher reward always comes with higher risk. It doesn't matter how slick the app is or how easy it is to click a button, the risk is always there. It never goes away.
So, for that ETH vault we talked about, you're actually taking on several layers of risk. First, there's smart contract risk. A bug in the code for InstaDapp, or Lido, or Aave, any one of them could be a total disaster. Then, you've got depegging risk. The whole strategy relies on staked ETH staying worth the same as regular ETH. If that peg breaks, even a little, your leverage position could be wiped out, liquidated. And finally, there's oracle risk. The system needs to know the price of these assets, and it relies on external price feeds called oracles. If those feeds fail or get manipulated, bad things can happen.
And if we zoom out, these kinds of risks fall into a few big categories. You've got your technical risks, that's your code bugs and oracle failures. You've got financial risks, that's stuff like the market going crazy or assets depegging. And then you have the big one, legal and regulatory risk. Let's be honest, nobody's quite sure how governments are going to treat this stuff long term. And every single one of those risks is in play here.
Which really leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. As tools like InstaDapp make DeFi easier and easier to get into, does the biggest risk shift? Maybe it's not about the tech failing anymore. Maybe the biggest risk is us, the user, not fully understanding what we're getting into. Simplicity is amazing for bringing people in, but it doesn't make the risk vanish. It just puts it out of sight. And as these platforms get simpler, the job of understanding what's really going on behind the scenes falls more and more on us. Thanks for joining this explainer.